No, all seriousness. Welcome to my Christmas video. I'm just having a bit of a joke. I decided to do a Christmas video. I didn't know kind of what to do. I was going to do a fishing trip. I guess everybody wanted to see a fishing trip, and maybe I will do them, and maybe I'll add it to this video at some point, maybe before or after, or I might just keep it as what I'm going to do now. So I decided to do a question and answers. Now it's a little bit funny that I'm doing it early within my YouTube channel, but I thought there's a lot of questions that a few people have been asking me, private messaging me, just asking me in general. So what I will do in my next question and answers, which will be sometime in 2016, I'll actually ask you the questions that you can ask me. But what I've done is made just a little bit of a list just to kind of get to know me kind of thing. And I've compiled with my family and friends just a little list of some of the questions just to get to know me. So here we go. Let's start with the first one, shall we? For those of you that don't know, my name is Barrie Cullis. I'm 36 years old and I live in South East London. I was born and bred in Lewisham, and I live with my parents. Well, I live with my mum and my brother. I did have my own place at one point, but I've had to move back home and restart again, basically. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Why did I decide to make a YouTube channel? I decided to make a YouTube channel because I really love watching. I really love watching people's blogs and vlogs and fishing videos. I grew up watching fishing videos, and it kind of what I used to do in the early days when I used to go fishing. I would actually watch a video before I went, and it kind of progressed to watching them on YouTube. I love watching other people's vlogs and stuff like that. It's fantastic to see what happens, and I thought, you know, why not try and do it myself, give it a go myself. Many years ago, many years ago, I went to the royalty fishery and my friend caught a 19-pound pike. And I love photography, I love taking pictures. And I took some pictures of his 19-pounder and they were impressive photos. I would like to show you it, but I'm not kind of friends with the bloke anymore and I haven't really got permission to pull it up. But it was an absolutely beautiful pike. Maybe I'll just show you the pike. So maybe I'll cut and just show you the pike. So as you can see, that was a really, really nice fish. But I decided I wanted to, at the time I made a little video. So I kind of filmed it and it was only about 30 seconds, 45 seconds long. I found it the other day on my computer and I saw it and I thought, you know, well, I say the other day, a year ago, and I found it and I thought, oh, that was really good. I enjoyed doing that and seeing it, and it was a good memory. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Everybody's doing it. It's something I enjoy. Why don't I just give it a go myself? It doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be brilliant. And I thought, yeah, give it a go myself and see how it comes off. So yeah, a year ago I lost my job, and as some of you might know, and I decided I needed to not only focus myself on getting back into work, but also focus on something else just to keep my mind busy. So I thought, yeah, this is a perfect time just to start the channel basically. Done logos for it and stuff like that. Everything I've used is kind of free. So I've used Paint on my Windows laptop. I used the free Paint, Movie Maker, free Movie Maker, free music. I've just used everything to be free, and it's amazing what you can do with free bits and pieces that you get on a computer or on the internet. But no, I've really enjoyed it so far. I'm really new to it. I've only been doing it 2 months, so I'm fairly new to it. So I'm always open to criticism. Be careful with that one if you're going to comment below. But yeah, I'm always open to new ideas and new criticisms. But yeah, really just decided to make my own videos and see how they come out. But I'm using a compact camera at the moment, and it's doing a good job for now. But I'd love to get some better filming equipment. I do have a DSLR, but that's completely knackered, and it doesn't have a flip screen, so I can't see myself filming. Because 9 out of 10 times, you know, you can be sure that I'll actually put myself out of frame. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why I just started to do YouTube videos, and I really enjoy it. So I can't hardly recommend it to anybody that wants to start a YouTube channel. And there's so many different YouTube channels out there, so everyone does something slightly different, even if it's the same subject. So yeah, really enjoying it. I guess it all started when I was a kid. I was always into wildlife. I love wildlife, and I'm always into animals and creatures. And my dad used to take me stickleback fishing on the River Ravensbourne, which I've mentioned before in the Keston video. It's in Beckenham Place Park. We used to go stickleback dipping with those nets you get for the beach. You know, those ones with the green nets and the bamboo cane. I really enjoyed it. And when I used to go to the school trips when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old to Arafusa and Alton Kirby and places like that, we used to go pond dipping, and we'd go to the River Darenth. And I always remember we was catching water boatmen and beetles on the River Darenth. And I remember the teacher screaming and shouting at me because I was the last one in the river to come out. So I decided, I didn't know nothing about fish, and I'd never caught many fish, and I didn't really understand the names, and bream and perch, they didn't mean nothing to me back then in terms of, I didn't understand, I was too young. So I understand that was just a fish. So I remember having one last drag along the river as I was actually coming back to the riverbank, and it was really funny. It was only shallow water, and I pulled out this perch, and this perch was about, I don't know, 2 ounces, 3 ounces, and I was really lucky to catch it. And from that moment, it absolutely blew my mind. And it's something I always wanted to do in terms of knew that I wanted to go fishing when I was older. Now, my uncle used to go fishing all the time when he used to visit my nan's, because my uncle lived with my nan, so did my dad. And every time I used to go up there, I used to get all his fishing gear out in the garden, rifle through it, stick hooks in me chest, in me jump eye, me hands, and yeah, used to drive him nuts pulling all his gear out. But they always promised to take me, and they never did. They say, yeah, we'll take you Saturday, we'll take you Saturday. There's me getting all excited and that, going up to my nan's to see me nan like I do on a weekend and stay over. And yeah, they'd all gone without me. So, that's kind of where my love and my start for fishing first started. And there's something I'll tell you in a later question, but yeah, I just absolutely love fishing, so that's kind of where I started. Yeah, I worked in the angling industry for about 5 years. It was very early when I very first started fishing alone. A friend of mine took me fishing when I was 18 years old. I had never had anyone to show me before, like I said about my uncle not taking me. No one wanted to show me. I had many different hobbies as a kid, and my dad, it was just one hobby too far for my dad to take me. I'm really hobby minded nowadays, but my friend took me when I was 18. I absolutely loved it. I bent his ear, I didn't shut up about talking about it, I just went mental for fishing. It kind of took over my life since that point. And I lost my job about a year later working in that particular place, and I was still green, I was still fresh, I was still learning how to float fish. But at that time I started to read a lot about predators and that. And what I did is I applied for a job in a tackle shop as a consultant, an angling consultant. And I basically blagged it. If I'll be honest with you, I absolutely blagged it. And then when I got the job, I started as the predator consultant. Predator consultant. It makes me laugh thinking about it now. That's a title I had. But yeah, I started as a predator consultant, and excuse me. And yeah, I was there for 5 years, and I had 5 of the best working years of my life. There were ups and downs, but we had an absolute laugh. Keith, who you met on one of the videos very briefly, fishing for the quest for the mosasaur, you met Keith, and you know Jack, because I've gone on many trips to the Thames with Jack. I both met them at Decathlon. Jack was a customer, Keith worked there with me. He was a 17-year-old kid, I was 21, and when I first started there, and we've been mates ever since. So I think the love of fishing actually helps you stay as friends, it's one of those things. But yeah, absolutely loved working there. It was Decathlon. It was a French company. They were very new in the market. They didn't make the best quality equipment, but what they did make nowadays is a lot better quality now. And we took on a lot of English stuff, English companies and that, and we made an absolute killing for the company. We've done really, really well, and I loved every minute of it. I did, within those 5 years working there, learn a hell of a lot. I put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. I lost a lot of friends where I was just literally going fishing 2-3 times a month. You know, I'd travel up to Ely, which is the river Ely. You got the river Cam, which meets the river Great Ouse, and he's got there for the pike and the mainly for the zander. And I had some really good catches up there. But yeah, that's kind of where my fishing really proper started, was working at Decathlon for those 5 years, and I loved every minute of it. And yeah, I have some fond memories. So I don't know really. Why predators? Growing up, I absolutely loved predatory animals. I was massive on sharks. I used to drive my teachers crazy. They'd actually even have to get my mum up to school to try and get me to focus on my schoolwork, because all I talked about was sharks. Anyone who knows me, who's watching this from my childhood, excuse me, they would know just how much I loved sharks. At the time, there was 257 shark species. I mean, it's well over 300 now. I can name every single one of them, and probably half their Latin names. And this was going on, what, 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. It's, you know, up to I was about 10, 11. I just absolutely loved sharks back then. I still do to this day, but yeah, I'm nowhere near as fanatical about sharks as I used to be. But you know, I hope to one day on my bucket list swim with great whites. It costs around 3,000 to 5,000 depending where you go, but it's something I've definitely got on a bucket list in the future. But yeah, back to the question, because I like to veer off sometimes. But yeah, predatory animals. Dinosaurs is another one for me. I know a hell of a lot about dinosaurs, theropods. You know, you've got the dromaeosaurs, which are the Velociraptor family. I just absolutely love dinosaurs. And yeah, anything predatory, you know, big cats, snakes, reptiles, anything that eats another animal, I don't know why, it just captured my imagination. And to lead up to the answer to your question is, I love predatory fish as well. It's rubbed on. I don't know why. It's something about the instinct of a pike. First time I actually saw a pike properly, that I engaged with a pike, as I used to love Disney films, and you guys have probably seen Sword and Stone, and I watched the sequence with the pike chasing them when they're transformed into fish, and I don't know, something about a pike's instinct. It's just, I don't know, predatory fish, they just do it for me all the time. And it's, you know, it's the same with most animals that I like. But yeah, that's kind of why I went into predators. But I do fish for all species, but the predators are the ones for me. Oh, it's a hard one. What's my favourite species and why? Probably. You know what? I've been asked this so many times, and I find it really, really, really difficult to answer. But it's a pike or a perch. I can't split between the two. I have reasons for both pike and perch. Perch for me were the first fish that got me into fishing. I think they're the most handsome. I think they're the most regal. They're just absolutely gorgeous. There's nothing in the coarse fish world in the UK where you can say that a species looks better. I mean, you could probably argue the case for maybe a giant rudd or something like that. I mean, that's just my opinion. But there's something impressive about looking at a large perch, because most of the time you're catching tiddlers. So when you've got that large perch in your hands, or you see that large perch, it blows your mind. And I remember, I think it was back in the 70s or 80s, well I don't remember, but I remember reading about it. There was a big problem with perch. There was a disease or something that wiped literally 90% of the perch stocks out in the UK. And they've made a phenomenal comeback. And you know, you had places like the Great Ouse back in the early 2000s, which were producing massive perch. But now you seem to be able to catch big perch in most places. They were neglected, and they still are neglected, but you can catch them literally. If you do your homework, you can find a place to catch them. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. I've had many a big perch on my line, but I have lost at least 2 4 pounders. I've lost. All I seem to be saying to the camera is I've lost fish. But yeah, that's for the perches argument. But for the pikeys argument, they're just impressive. They're just primeval. They're mean looking. They're just huge. They're just. It's like holding a crocodile up with no legs. It's ridiculous, and I find them so mean looking. They're actually good looking at the same time. They're powerful. The surges. But anyone who says that a pike doesn't fight is just stupid. It normally comes from people that don't fish for a predatory species, or someone that actually fishes for them half-heartedly. There's something about a pike. The power of them. I mean, I felt power of carp. We've all felt power of carp. I've had numerous 20-pound carp on, and they've got that dull fight, which is nice. I love it. They put up a hell of a scrap in terms of the length of time it takes you to bring them in, unlike tackle. But with a pike, it's a different fight altogether. But it's not just about the fight, it's the actual species. I adore them. I absolutely adore pike. So to split pike and perch, which is my favourite, it's too difficult. I kind of put them joint equal with Zander, a very, very, very close second. Zander I absolutely adore. I've probably done better in my angling career with Zander than I have pike and perch put together. I've had some cracking Zander, but then I did put the time and effort into trying to catch them for about 2 seasons, and since then I've not really sort of fished for them, and I do miss them. But yeah, to answer the question, I can't split between pike and perch. My favourite method of fishing, I'd probably say float fishing. I love fishing for all species in all different styles of fishing, but I would say float fishing for me. There's something about watching a float disappear or come to life. I mean, using dead baits, watching a float come to life, or watching a live bait moving around. Lift method for tench. You know, when you see that peacock quill bolt upright, lay flat, and then slide away, or just literally just dip under slowly. You know, any kind of float fishing, it not only keeps my focus on watching what I'm doing, it gives me those palpitations that any moment that float can go, and I absolutely love float fishing. In terms of do I prefer modern or traditional tackle, that actually depends on the type of fish I'm fishing for. Now, to my mind, say for instance I'm tench fishing, I view tench as a traditional fish. So I like to fish for them with either traditional tactics, methods, bait. Do you know what I mean? I like cage feeder fishing on alarms for tench. I like float fishing in the margins with a centre pin for tench, with a peacock quill on a nice cork angle rod. Do you know what I'm saying? It's something traditional about a tench. Same with perch. I think carp fishing is just completely modern. I don't really like traditional techniques or tactics or using traditional tackle for carp, as an example, unless I'm using it for, say, crucian carp. So it all depends on the fish. I think the fish, to me, relates to, for me personally, it's just my opinion, relates to if it's modern or traditional tactics. But yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those strange ones. So I like, the answer to the question is I like to use both tackle, so modern and traditional. But yeah, you can't beat something that does a job. You need tackle first and foremost. A tackle has to do the job, be it strength, be it efficiency. So yeah, it's kind of a nonsensical question in terms of 100% answer, but yeah. Politics in angling, I absolutely hate it. It gets on my nerves. I think a lot of it is relevant, especially when it comes to things like poachers. Should you have indoor venues? So, you know, politics and what you can talk about can be endless in terms of debate, in terms of headlines. The media in angling, yeah, I mean, Anglers Mail, Angling Times, they do fantastic jobs in terms of promoting places and putting news out there, so to speak. But You know, I try not to get caught up in it anymore. Years ago, I would always get caught up in the politics of angling. I'd always be on Facebook moaning about something in terms of a topic or an issue. I get a little bit fed up with hearing it now. I just want to enjoy my fishing without all the hassle. The only time you'll ever see me moaning is really at manufacturer companies about why they shouldn't do this and why they should do that, but that's just my opinion. Some of them don't like it, some of them do like it, I don't care. You know, they're there to make tackle for us, and I think that they should listen to the customer's advice or opinions, you know. But that's just me really, but I try not to get caught up in politics with fishing, because I think, especially with, you know, with the angling, I think you're treading water most of the time anyway. But it's not to say I don't have opinions. If I'm asked on an opinion, I'll probably give it, but I try not to spurt out too much of that, so it's too serious for me, and nowadays I just enjoy my fishing for what it is. So does size matter? I hope you're referring to fishing. Yes and no. Years ago, size of fish mattered a whole great deal to me. I think personal PBs, who was catching what size, you know. So I think large fish. Excuse me, my mouth's a bit dry. In terms of size, so yeah, size does matter, but I think now, I think your views change maybe as you get older, I don't know, but for me, I like going fishing. So if I'm catching, say, 10 jacks, and then maybe one 12 or 13 pound fish, it's lovely to have that 13 pound fish, but catching those 12 jacks at, say, £4, probably took more skill to do so, in order to do that. So how can you measure someone's success by size, as an example? But for me, no, I don't think size matters too much to me anymore. Obviously it does to a degree. I'd love to up my personal bests. We always want to see an impressive large fish on the bank. But for me, yeah, like I say, I don't think size matters. Does it matter to everybody else? Yeah, most definitely. Everyone ever talks about is how big was the fish. Me included, I like to ask the question how big a fish was on a photo on Facebook as an example. But in the angling press, all you ever see are these big fish. People that tend to do quite well in terms of working within the angling industry and making names for themselves are doing it by big fish and big numbers of big fish. And good luck to them, but that's kind of not me anymore. You know, even when you go onto some vloggers and bloggers on YouTube and that, all you see is you know, people showing large fish all the time. And don't get me wrong, when I get a large fish, you'll be the first to see it and know about it. But I think people lose sight of the beauty of even the small ones. I mean, catching a little jack can be quite as cute. I find them quite cute. You know, like most small animals, kittens, dogs, you know, small animals are cute. So actually catching a small jack or a small perch, I actually enjoy catching those fish. I think it's just about the method that you actually catch them on. I mean, no one wants to catch a 4-ounce perch on a 3-pound test curve rod. I mean, if you're catching it on a whip with maybe a size 2 to 4 elastic, it's great fun. So I think it's all down to the tackle you use it on and all down to your mindset. But, you know, to answer the question, yeah, it does, but it doesn't. No, it's not really clear, is it? But that's my answer. Rivers or lakes? Rivers, yeah. I think that's just a really, really easy answer. Rivers any day of the week. There's no real answer that I can give you in terms of a long one. It's just simple. It's rivers. Don't get me wrong. Lakes have their places. I love fishing lakes. I'm just as happy fishing rivers or lakes, you know. But if I have a preference, rivers. I think rivers hold a lot more natural fish. If we're talking predators, for starters, you know, catching a river pike, you know what I mean. Some of them have never been caught, most of them have never been caught before, depending on what stretches of river you fish, but it's something about catching a river fish. And I think it depending on what river, if it's a fast flowing chalk stream where it's very clear, or you're fishing a really deep, muddy river that's slow flowing, you know what I mean? So it depends how the fish come out looking, so in terms of if they're very silvery or if they've got very vivid markings. But it's something about being on a river, and I think every angler that watches this, and I can't think of any angler would say that actually prefer to catch a fish from a lake, and that's probably even going for carp anglers. You know, a lot of carp anglers now are switching on to river fishing and canal fishing. Technically, a canal is a still water, but you get what I'm saying. But there's something about river fishing that will always be special. There's obviously the talk about should there be or shouldn't there be a river close season and stuff, but I suppose that's for another question at another time. But I'm not going to get into it now. But yeah, for definite and most certain, 100% question I can answer so far, I'd definitely say that river fishing and rivers are where it's at, really. Um, I love fishing for all species. So first and foremost, I don't care if I'm gudgeon bashing or if I'm catching pike from a boat on an Irish loch. You know, I love all forms of fishing and catching all different species of fish. So other than predatory species, yes, I do fish quite a lot of the time for other fish. I love crucian fishing, especially with a really sensitive float next to lily pads. Maybe even a pole float I'd use on a match rod. Very light line. I love tench fishing. Absolutely love tench fishing. One of my favourite non-predatory species. I do carp fish a lot, and I do love carp fishing. But A, I've got to be in the mood for it, and B, I see it as more of a social thing. I can't think of many times where I've actually gone carping on my own. I have done, but very rarely. So I don't tend to go carp fishing alone. I probably will want to start driving, but I'd probably say that carp fishing to me is a social thing. But other than that, you know, there are other species. You know, for me, rudd are one of the deer fish that I love to catch. I've never had anything massive. I've only ever had small stuff, and I really hope to find a rudd water at some point in 2016. I have got a couple of leads, and I will follow up on them. And I think, like I say, when I have a car, I can really reach places where I think they could be, and it would give me more chance of catching that £2 plus fish, because rudd are one of my favourite species that, unfortunately, I've not had too much experience with. Same with barbel. I love barbel and I love chub. Chub, okay, are omnivores. I class them as possibly predatory because you can catch them on literally any bait. But going back to barbel, yeah, barbel is another species that I've only ever had a pan barbel. So when I was chub fishing, I'd had like a barbel about a pan. I've not even classed it as a PB. So yeah, I'd love to go and catch a really nice barbel, and I have done a couple of barbel trips, but at the time I was quite inexperienced. It's when I very first started fishing for fish in general. But yeah, I do love other species other than predators. So yeah, and I love different types of angling. You know, it doesn't matter what style. I mean, it's very different styles of angling. You know. Something I haven't touched upon is fly fishing. I love fly fishing. I really want to do sea fishing next year in 2016. I have gone along with my best mate Dan. He took me sea fishing. We done a pike trip, and the weather was atrocious, and he said it was actually perfect for beach fishing. I wouldn't know that, but he took me along, drowned wet from the pike fishing. Went and got some bait from the local tackle shop, lugworm or ragworm or whatever it was. Went down to Dungeness, done some beach fishing, and do you know what? I didn't do it, he did it, and I actually just sat in the shelter watching, but I really enjoyed it. Beach fishing is not, although I enjoyed watching it, I don't think it'll be for me. I think I'd probably like to do something like rock fishing or boat fishing, that kind of thing. Something where there's a bit more of a feature. I think sitting in that little shelter, casting out and just leaving it for 15 minutes waiting for something to hang itself. Okay, yeah, I know it's probably a bit like barbel, but yeah, barbel fishing, cast it out, wait for it to hang itself. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I like all different types of angling, and like I say, I want to get to do a bit more fly fishing as well. I used to go once a year on the longest day of the year, trying to use a dry fly to catch rainbow trout on my local fishery in Hayes, and I never did. I never had that fish, but on a dry fly. But yeah, there's so much angling I love to do. You know, I always stick to what I love most, but I want to explore a little bit more, or go into doing stuff that I don't get a chance to do as much as I'd like to. So we'll see. We'll see. Favourite venue? Ah, that's really, really difficult. Favourite venue? I can't. I haven't got a favourite venue. I've got too many that I like. The Royalty. I absolutely love the Royalty. It's very overcrowded now. It's very overfished. When I started 15 years ago at the Royalty, pike fishing, there was only one or two people pike fishing it, and there were some big monsters coming out 5 years previous to that. So going back maybe 20 years, you had Simon Webber caught £39 pike, which was caught by quite a few people. Nick Peake caught it, and there's a couple of other people caught it as well. Quite famous anglers that caught it. But there's loads of other 30s that were coming out there as well. It wasn't just the 39 that was coming out. You know, there was loads of like 35s and 34s and that were coming out. And I started fishing it about, like I say, 5 years later. And then you had the likes of the fish had gone sort of down. A lot of those big fish had died or moved on or whatever. A lot of crop of 20s were coming through. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get any 20s, but I had quite a few 14s and some nice mid doubles from the fishery. And over recent years, the fish are starting to put on weight again, and they're starting to show a lot more again. So, you know, you got the likes of the new breed coming through. You know, there's a really nice chap who I met down there called Sean Miller. He's on Facebook as well. Really, really nice. Nice fellow. He was just a kid at the time when I met him. Knows his stuff, knows his predatory fishing. We've had a couple of sessions on the bank down there. I haven't been down to see him, which I hope to do at some point. But yeah, nowadays it's just absolutely stupidly cramo with since they allowed lure fishing back on there as well. There's just so many people that fish it, but it's so prestigious down there. It's so everybody wants to catch a Royalty fish, be it a barb or a pike or whatever. You know, it's a massive perch down there. The chub are showing again. Nice roach if you know where to find them, like I do. There's other venues I love. I love the River Loddon. I fished the River Loddon a few times. Sandon and Mill. I fished the River Kennet. I love the River Kennet at the Aldermaston Mill. I love fishing the Great Ooze, Roswell Pits, at Ely. I've got so many venues that I hold in such high regard. You know, I love fishing. You know, if we're not talking predatory fish, I love Monk Lakes as a commercial fishery, because there's nothing at Monk Lakes that you can't not catch. They've got everything there. They've got Stillwater Barbel. They've got Golden Tench. Me and Keith actually had a species match down there about 2 or 3 seasons ago, and we had an absolutely fantastic day. I've never fished for the cats on the Spessy Lake there yet, but yeah, absolutely awesome fishery, very welcoming, lots of space, lots of room, loads of pegs, lots of fish, just great days fishing. So it's, you know, I could sit here and just rattle off a whole list of favourite venues, but yeah, they're just a few of the ones that I really do like going to. But yeah, I suppose it all depends on species, but you know, I really do love those venues. But yeah, maybe I'll add to the list in another Q&A. Oh, this is a good one. I have actually just started getting back into lure fishing. I used to do a lot of lure fishing over the docks with my friend Jack when we first started fishing together, especially for the perch, and used to use a lot of jelly worms. I mean, I remember using drop shot many moons ago. I didn't really know how it works, and I wasn't fishing it efficiently. I wasn't using it efficiently, but yeah, we was using drop shots long before people started spouting about it 2 years ago now. But yeah, we was using jelly worms. I actually managed to get a lot of anglers on the jelly worms, because a lot of them are using basic tactics like spinning and using little plugs and stuff. And then there's me comes along with the jelly worms and started smashing it up. And I'm not talking big fish, but I had loads of fish. and Jack got on it, and he caught God knows how many 4-pounders from around the Surrey Keys waters, the docklands around Surrey Keys, Green and Docks, and Surrey water and Canada water. I mean, those fish are long gone now. If there are any more still there, that's yet to be seen. Maybe we'll go and check them out maybe in 2016. But the Thames is taking over a little bit from us, so we started to fish the Thames. So, you know, the docks around Surrey Keys are kind of taking a back seat for us now, because it's just a shadow of its former self. But that's lure fishing. I've gone off track a little bit. Bait fishing, I prefer bait fishing out of the two, but lure comes a very close second. Lure fishing for me, like I said, I've only just returned to it this year after a 7-year layoff. I love lure fishing, I love exploring, I love the fact you're taking very little tackle with you. I think the lures actually capture more my imagination and my wallet and my money from the wallet than it does actually catching a fish. It's just something about lure fishing I love, but bait fishing is always going to be number one for me. Just using a natural element, so a natural fish, I don't know, sweet corn boilies, bread, maggots, you name it. It's just something, you know, my favourite bait, believe it or not, being a predator fisherman, believe it or not, my favourite bait of all time, and you can catch every fish on it, is worm. I love worm fishing, using worms, lob worms, dengerbinas, brandlings, any size worms. I just love bait fishing. There's just something about it. But bait versus lures, for me, bait, but I do love lure fishing. Comes a very close second. So I don't really think of it of what, you know, when I'm actually fishing, I don't think, oh, I prefer to be bait fishing than lure fishing. You know, it just depends on how I feel on the day when I wake up and what I fancy doing. But yeah, bait fishing over lures. Any funny stories and favourite memories? Now, I've got too many memories to mention. I'm not going to say a favourite memory, because I've got at least 10 memories that are my favourite memories. Not necessarily big fish, not necessarily red letter days, but I have some fantastic memories fishing. Probably my earliest memories of when I very first started fishing with my best mate Dan, and my old mate who I don't see anymore, who introduced me and Dan together. We've had some fantastic days, and I have with Keith and Jack and loads of other mates. But in terms of funny things that happen, again, too many to mention, but off the top of my head, I've woken up with swans sitting next to me in my bivvy as I've woken up, and it's literally its head sitting there looking at me, absolutely scared the shit out of me. I've woken up with frogs on my head. I remember once I was fishing Hawkhurst for carp, and I had a run at 3 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't get out my sleeping bag. So I've actually I've crawled to the rod while I'm still in my sleeping bag, just outside the door, playing this fish in the middle of the night in my sleeping bag. It was just hilarious, literally. And I don't know why, I was actually stark bollock naked for whatever reason. And I never ever fish naked, ever. And this one night, I think it was really hot, I don't know why, I just got in my sleeping bag naked. And I just didn't expect to bite, and I did. And this fish was only about £8, but it gave me a run around, right around the back of an island, and I was playing this fish. My mates have come running out of the tent laughing their arse off, because I'm in the sleeping bag, being dragged along the floor playing this small fish. Another one that happened in recent memory that made me laugh. You know, I've always been chased by swans and geese, and I've jumped in to rescue. I can't swim, but I'll actually jump in the river to rescue them when they get caught up by line, or if they've got line around their feet, and I get pecked in the head and beaten up, and you know. But one in recent memory, I went fishing with my mate Dan on the Royal Military Canal for pike, and it was a torrid time of the year. There was hurricanes, floods and everything. It was on February, and we both put our umbrella up. We both had quorum umbrellas, exactly the same umbrellas. Exactly the same quorum umbrellas. Really strong, built to last. Both had them around about a year. Anyway, put our brollies up, started raining. Rain turned into hailstone. Hailstones turned into golf balls. It hammered down. It hit me so hard on the brolly, it actually snapped the spokes inside. Literally, the pressure of those hailstones come down, snapped the spokes inside. And I was sitting underneath with this enclosed brolly. I was sitting there thinking, I can't sit like this. Dan, I could hear about 10, 20 yards away laughing his arse off. I'm actually surprised he didn't film it. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I've ripped the spokes off really quickly, gutted the umbrella like you're gutting a mackerel, literally ripped it out, cut a hole in the top of cut a hole in the top of the umbrella, and I put it over my head like a poncho, and then put my hood up on my coat. He laughed his arse off, and I thought I was being quite resourceful. But looking back on it now, it was probably really funny that I was getting hit by these hailstones, literally cowering like a little girl, just, no, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. With all these hailstones hitting me, making myself a poncho out of an umbrella, while he's sitting there nice and dry, no problem with his umbrella, and we had exactly the same one. But, you know, I could come up with a million funny stories that happened. You know, my old mate, I'm not going to mention who he is, but my old mate, when we was fishing on the fens, we just put our bivvies up. We had really cheap, crappy bivvies back in the day. I had a giant bivvy. Don't know if you remember the giant manufacturer. I had a giant bivvy, and he had a Shakespeare Cypridone. But the idiot had pitched it up. Now, bearing in mind they had a ground sheet built in. The idiot had pitched it up facing the wind, so the door, so it was going into the door, and there was no sort of vent at the back, so the air could pass through. So he's sitting in his bivvy, and he's pegged it down. We're talking to each other for our bivvies. I've got my back to it, but him thinking, oh, because he wants to talk to me, he's had it arced towards me. Anyway, he's got out to play this fish because his alarms went off, playing his £10 pike. And I've gone to get the net, reached down to the net to net it, turned round, and his bivvy's blown down the river. It's literally all his gear, all his tackle is literally in the grey ooze, 14, 15 foot of water just going down the river. I felt so bad for him, but looking back now, I find it hilarious. But I know I probably would have cried my eyes out, but it was hilarious. Just his face was the picture, and my face probably was a picture as well. But just seeing this bivvy fly down the river just was hilarious. And that night we spent the night in my tent, which was only a one-man giant dome, with our feet, both our feet actually outside the door, with our bed chairs in there. Woke up and our feet were just drowned, wet and freezing cold. It's just amount of funny things that have happened, and you know, just one of those things. But yeah, good times, good memories, really. This is quite a hard one. What are my favourite 5 fish that I'd love to catch if money was no object? I'm not going to get in depth for this question. There's just too many facets to answer. I've always wanted to catch every species of esox there is. Now, there's so many different species around the world. You've got southern pike, which there are very, very few of, and they're very, in terms of northern pike and southern pike, there's not much difference between the two subspecies. Yeah, I'd love to catch muskies. I'd love to catch a tiger muskie. You know what I mean? They're the two ultimate pike, if anything, two of the ultimate species of esox. Yeah, the musky lunge and the tiger musky lunge. The tiger muskie is a cross between a northern pike and a muskie that actually interbreed with each other. So there are many different forms and bar forms, and what I mean by that is there's many different stripings and markings on the flanks of a fish. Some of those Baltic pike as well, some of the Scandinavian pike, you know, and the German pike and the Italian pike. I mean, I think the Italian pike are actually southern pike, but some of those pike, the markings on them are just incredible. You know, the yellows and the greens. What we get in the UK are beautiful fish, but they're nothing like some on the European continent. Are just incredible. But one of my favourite pike species is the Amar pike from Mongolia and East Asia. East Asia? West Asia? I'm not sure where they're from. They're actually silver with black dots. Absolutely incredible. They look like no other pike. They're very, very different marking wise. But yeah, I'd love to catch a Amar pike. I'd love to catch pickerel, redfin, you name it. Any pike species I'd love to catch. But you know, obviously the musky lunge is the muskie is the one at every pike lover's top of their list. Tiger fish is another one I'd love to catch. You know, saltwater fish don't really sort of, I like to catch saltwater fish, don't get me wrong, but they don't do it for me like what you would see on River Monsters, those type of fishing programs. You know, arapimas, like I say, tigerfish, certain species of stingrays. You know, I'd love to catch most of these species. Catfish as well. I mean, we got Wells catfish in the UK, but you know, to catch one of those big 200 pounders on the Ebro in Spain would be fantastic. I'd love to catch walleye, zander from the continents, and probably one that most people can catch, and it's quite probably easy to catch to a degree, is I'd love to catch some black bass or big mouth and largemouth bass from America. So, you know, I think that's probably a realistic target. If I ever go on holiday to America, I'm hoping that I'm going to go somewhere maybe on the East Coast where I can go bass fishing. I know my friend Dan went to Disney. I think he went Disney World many years ago. I'm going back 14, 15 years ago. And he went over there and he bought so many bass lures he bought back for pike fishing. You know, stuff that you can buy quite easily in the UK now, he bought over there. So, yeah, bass fishing is one I'd like to do. And he went bass fishing over there as well, and he said he really enjoyed it. It's just, I find bass, they're like perch, aren't they, really? Yeah, I'd love to go bass fishing, but there's so many different, you know, if the money was no object, there's so many different places I'd love to go fishing, and for so many different species, it's really hard for me to pinpoint exactly one. But like I said, I would love to catch every species of esox. But yeah, I've got a big list, too long for me to say on camera, so to speak. Who is my angling hero and idol? Ooh, that's a good one. Earlier on in one of the questions, I said that I was going to revert back to or go into it a little bit more in depth on another question, and this is it. When I was younger, like I say, when I was pond dipping and all that, when I got a little bit older, I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. My mum used to let me stay up on a Sunday evening, and I used to watch John Wilson on Go Fishing. It was on at 10 o'clock on Channel 4. And yeah, I used to sit up and I used to watch it in the kitchen on the black and white portable on top of the fridge. We didn't have no stools or tables in the kitchen. I used to stand up for half an hour, just stand there watching the fishing. I don't know why she allowed me to watch it. I have no idea why that was the case, but I used to watch it and it captured my imagination watching it on this black and white portable. So I had no idea, you know, just how beautiful those fish were and that. Back in the days, that's when black and white portables were about. Colour was just coming through. It was expensive to own a coloured telly. We had a coloured telly in the front room, a little coloured portable, Ferguson I think it was, something like that, for those of you that are old enough to remember those. But yeah, I used to sort of stand and watch Go Fishing, and I used to love it. Every Sunday I used to look forward to watching it, and that's kind of my earliest member of angling heroes. So John Wilson was a major part growing up, like most people watching these angling programs. Go Fishing, the theme tune to Go Fishing, the original theme tune, is one of my favourite little tunes. It's kind of a little guitar tune. I'd absolutely love to have it. I'd love to have had it as my opening music for Predator Bites, or if I was to do a different type of fishing channel where it was a little bit more traditional in the style. It's such a lovely tune. I just love it to bits. I've actually got it on my phone as a ringtone. So John Wilson was a major idol growing up. Another one was, or is, and still is, probably my main idol, is Mick Brown. Mick Brown, what he's done for predator fishing. I mean, he's just retired, I believe, from the media. I think he still fishes and that, but he doesn't. I mean, he fishes with Matt, does personal fishing, but maybe he still runs his own lakes, I think, up in Lincolnshire as well. But he was working for Shimano. He went back to working for Shimano and Rapala, and then I think after that he'd called it a day. He'd stopped working in the angling media altogether. I'd met him once before. I've spoken to him quite a lot on Facebook. He's such a lovely man. My biggest regret is not being able to have fished with him. had that one session, that one day that I could have fished with him. I mean, he had many times where he was doing fishings and doing public appearances where he was fishing on a lake with other anglers, charity events, and guiding and stuff like that, one-to-one guiding. You know, I would have paid a lot of money to have fished for that bloke, because I think it's just a one-off. I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of my a lot of my heroes in general through life. I've managed to meet a lot of my darts heroes when I was a kid. I come from a darting family. My brother is a top player. He plays at a very high level now. But I was quite handy darts player years ago, and I actually worked for a darts company called Unicorn. So I got to meet Phil Taylor, all the top dart players. You know, Eric Bristow's was my darting hero as growing up as a kid. I managed to work with David Hay for a little while, helping him out at the gym, doing bits and pieces for him. Started off as a fan. He started to recognise me as a fan, turning up for signings and meetings. I was really a massive big Haymaker fan. It's kind of died off a little bit now. I mean, he's making a comeback, but it's kind of died off a little bit now. I made some really good friends through David Hay. I met security and management and helped him out at doing gym days for the fans and working on the door and meeting the fans. It was fantastic. Doing a little bit of private photography and all that. Just absolutely fantastic. They say never meet your idols because you'll be disappointed, but David treated me really well and I loved working with David A. So, I mean, I've gone off topic a little bit now, but, you know, idols I think are quite an important thing. Even for a 36-year-old man like myself, it's always nice to have someone to aspire to, or someone you look up to, or someone that you're a big fan of, so to speak. So, Mick Brown, you know, I'd never have that chance to fish with him again. I don't think so. I know he's bringing out the Pike and I, which is a DVD he's doing. I think it's probably a farewell DVD, thanks to the memories kind of thing, and he's put together with Matt Hayes. I did speak to him about it on Facebook, and he said to me that they're gonna possibly, because they're funding it themselves, they'd like to do like a tour with it once it's finished. Do a tour with it, maybe in London. I'd love to go to it. I'll probably do everything in my power, even though I start working soon. I'll do everything in my power to get to go to it, because again, I think it's just going to be a one-off, and it'll mean so much to me to meet Mick Brown. I mean, I was watching a couple of YouTube bloggers the other day, and there's one called the Fenland Fisherman, George, really nice fella. He started off as a blogger, and he's managed to have Mick Brown in a couple of his videos of him, and that for him must be such a big deal, and it'll probably be, you know, forever in his memories. He's got those memories, he's got the videos of fishing alongside Mick Brown for a blogger's video. That shows the power of social media. That shows the power of modern technology nowadays, that, you know, to get such a big star in my eyes. You know, I do have other angling heroes as well. I mean, I passion for angling. I've recently put a clip on my Facebook page of the last 22 minutes of Winter Madness, which is when they catch the two big pike. It's just, every time I watch that, it just blows my mind. So Bob James and Chris Yates growing up, again, passion for angling were a big part of my angling heroes and idols and that. But I have quite a few, but Mick Brown is probably my biggest angling idol. If I could share a bivvy or a boat for one night, who would it be with? If we're gonna say, right, okay, let's break it down. If I'm gonna share a boat, it would be with either Mick Brown, someone like that for the day, someone I can have a laugh and a joke with and learn a lot from on the boat. If not that, you know, it'd be probably Dan, my best mate, or a couple of other mates that I'd love to fish with. You know, being on the boat with, you know, like I say, Keith, probably not so much so. I've done some boat fishing with friends before where I've nearly gone in the water, or my friends have ruined the fishing by dumping a whole bucket of ground bait into the water, and it's kind of mounded outside the water like an iceberg, which literally just killed the whole lake, which I didn't know he was going to do. But yeah, that was my old mate Simon, who used to be a manager of mine at Decathlon, who was new to fishing. But boat partners, yeah, if I could choose anyone, it would probably be, like I say, it'd have to be my best mate Dan. If not Dan, then obviously an angling hero like Mick Brown. Who would I like to share my bivvy with? Now, I have shared bivvies with a lot of my friends. As I explained earlier on in one of my questions, my old mate, who I don't see anymore, with his bivvy blowing down the river. So I've spent nights with him farting after having kebabs and God knows what, stinking the whole bivvy out. I can't remember, so many times with different people with my bivvies. But if I had the choice, obviously it'd be a female. Who would it be? Jessica Jane Clement. I love Jessica Jane Clement from the Real Hustle TV programme. She's a TV presenter. If not Jessica Jane Clement, or Jessica Jane Stafford as she's now known. She married that hairdresser. I'll tell you who I'd love to go fishing with, and you'd probably laugh your arse off. I'd love to go fishing with Amy Charles. She would be so jarring, but she'd be so funny at the same time. And I think she's got the balls enough to get stuck in as well. I think she'd actually get stuck in and picking up fish and maggots and all that. Even though she's a girly girl with, you know, nice hair, nice nails, and trying to put maggots on a hook and all that. I think, yeah, I'd love to go fishing with Amy Charles. I think she'd be a right laugh. Not only that, I think she's absolutely gorgeous, but I think she'd be fantastic to go fishing with. But yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for the ladies. It's quite difficult to narrow down who I'd like to spend the night with in the bivvy. I'll probably be outside naked in my sleeping bag or something like like I said earlier on, trying to catch fish. Yeah, sorry, gone off topic a little bit there, but yes, they would be my answers. What other hobbies do I enjoy other than fishing? I'm really hobby minded. I've got so many hobbies to keep me busy. It's incredible. I love art, I love drawing, I design tattoos, not only for myself but for friends. I'm not the best artist in the world, but I absolutely enjoy it. I've only really started doing it the last year or so. I've been doing it since I was at school. So, you know, I've had a good 15, 17 year gap in between of doing it, but absolutely love art. I'm also a retro gamer. I love retro gaming. So if I'm not doing art, then I'm retro gaming. I love playing Mega Drives, Master Systems. I actually plan on having when I start work and I'm earning readies, I'm actually planning on having an arcade machine built from a guy on Facebook, a guy called Chris, Chili's Aquatics, Chili's Arcade. So I'm going to get him to design me an arcade machine. So I'm going to have in my bedroom. I'm really looking forward to that. I do have numerous, like I say, retro gaming consoles and stuff. It's a massive thing that I'm into. But again, I've got so many different hobbies, it's hard for me to keep up buying things and bits and pieces. I'm also a collector. I collect a lot of bits and pieces or crap that other people might think they are, but I've got things like World War II jet planes in model scales. I've got about 70 of them all boxed away, couple on display. I play darts, I play golf, not for a little while, but I like to play golf. I also love fish keeping. A lot of people don't know that I'm actually as skillful, if not more skillful in fish keeping, knowledge wise, and being able to keep fish, than I am in actually angling. You might think, well, why are you making an angling videos? Angling is my number one passion, and I have worked in the angling industry, as you guys know, but I've also worked in the aquatics industry, fish keeping industry for 7 years, and I've got certificates, AWATA certificates, so I'm quite a fully fledged aquatics advisor, so to speak. I've actually had a couple of people ask me aquatics questions. I don't mind helping people out, but blimey, it does gets too much sometimes, and I get a lot of people asking me a lot of fish keeping questions. But yes, I keep fish. I've kept all manner of fish, tropical, cold water, you name it. I do love keeping fish. I sold a lot of my tanks, got rid of a lot of my tanks when I was out of work. So I've only got a Roma 125 litre in the bedroom, empty at the moment. I need to aquascape it, and I'm thinking of keeping something simple in there, like tiger barbs. And I've got a little 19 litre spec, fluval spec in the kitchen, which has just got odds and sods in it at the moment. That needs cleaning really. I need to sort that tank out and get a couple more fish from my mum for that tank, make it look nice and neat and clean for Christmas. And I'm a big Siamese fighter fan. I used to keep a lot of Siamese fighters, so I'm thinking of getting a little desktop Siamese fighter tank for my bedroom as well, to go alongside the Roma 125. So yes, I do have other hobbies. Can't think of any other ones off the top of my head, but they're the main ones that I like to do, other than films and socialising and 1,000 other things. But yeah, I ain't going to go into all of them. Okay, final question. The answer to that is I have a lot of goals for 2016. I've got a lot of personal ones, I've got a lot of fishing ones. So I'll start with the fishing ones. I want to up a lot of my PBs. I want to learn to drive so I can go to different venues, be able to go to places that I've never been able to go before, unless I've relied on other people taking me. It's just to enjoy my fishing. I'd love to have a big rod. I'm chasing a big perch. I'd love to up my PB on my pike. But it's just to have more success. This year, apart from losing that big one in March, I lost a really big pike in March. The last few years I've not had, it's been steady. It's not been brilliant, not compared to when I used to go. I used to put a lot of time and effort into my fishing, and I used to really hunt them down. But now I'm more relaxed about my fishing, so I don't take it as serious. But like I say, I think the biggest piece of fishing tackle you can have is a car, and that's one of the main things for 2016 I need in my fishing. Because as soon as I have a car, it means I don't have children, I don't have a partner at the moment, so I can go fishing to my heart's content on my days off from work. So that's kind of where I want to be. I want to be able to make better videos for you guys, so buying better filming equipment. I also want to, like I say, it's all for myself more than anything, but I want to be able to bring out some logo clothing. So I want to have my logos put onto clothing, hats, hoodies. I'm going to have some sew badge, the patches that you can sew onto clothing. So I want to have a couple of them made up. I want some stickers, decal made up, so I can put them on tackle boxes and stuff like that. Maybe even some pin badges. It's all expensive stuff. It's not cheap. You've got to buy it by the 50s and the 100s and stuff like that. So it's going to cost a little bit of money, but I think it's worth it. I kind of like my logo. It's taken me a long time, and I'm playing about with it all the time. So I'm going to have it simple, but it works, and I'm going to have them made into various different merchandises and that. But things like pin badges and that, I'll probably end up doing maybe even some when I get some more followers and that, and I get more established within these videos. I'll probably end up doing competitions and stuff, just basic silly competitions. So if there's anyone out there who wants a pet's at home, sorry, that's where I used to work. If anybody wants a PredatorBitesUK pin badge or sticker, then I'll probably run some competitions. But like I say, I haven't got any of that yet. That's all for 2016 on the angling front. Personal level, not that you guys probably care, but on a personal level, I've been out of work for a year, like I've mentioned a million times. I'm just going to start a job very soon. It's been 4 months in the making. I'm going to be working in a security up London in a corporate business for corporate businesses. I've never done a job like this before. I'm really excited about it. The money's fairly good. It's a career prospect, which I've never really had before. Mega excited for it. I want to be able to see a lot more of my friends in 2016. Maybe do some more boxing events, going to more boxing events. Me and my brother love to go to main boxing events like the big bills. So I'd like to go and watch Anthony Joshua maybe in 2016. I've seen a few of his fights already. Might go and watch the Haymaker again. So go to watch him fight a few times. But boxing at the moment is really exciting. I know this is not a boxing channel or that, but boxing for me, British boxing at the moment, with all the world champions and all the domestic fights and world fights, it's big at the moment. So I want to go to see a lot more boxing, lose a lot of weight. Now I think probably one of the biggest problems, me being out of work, is I gained a hell of a lot more weight than I already had. I was losing the weight while I was working, but losing that job knocked me for sick. So it's going to be, I keep saying it, and it's a mammoth task, and I've got to have the right mindset. But I think when I start working, I'm going to be busy, and then I can start getting into that mindset. I yo-yo too much when I lose weight, and I really never get going. So lose weight is going to be a big one. I'm happy and comfortable with myself, but I'm not happy with my size, so to speak, so much. Even if I lose, I'm 30-ish stone. So if I was to lose, say, 8 to 10 stone, go down to 20, 21 stone, I'll be happy with that. I'm never going to be small. I'm a big guy, so I'm hoping to lose a lot of weight for that. So yeah, that's kind of my personal goal for 2016. Now, I'm sorry this has been a long video. I want to say thank you so much for staying with me. I want to say a very, very happy Christmas. No, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and all your families. I hope you have a fantastic 2016. I hope you get all the peace and luck in the world. I want to say thank you for the continued support. Please, please, please come along on the journey with me. The videos are going to get better. Going to have a bit of fun along the way. Going to meet a lot of my friends. I'm going to do some unusual bits and pieces. I've got quite a few things planned in mind that I want to do for PredatorBitesUK, and a couple of experiment videos that I want to do as well that I've not seen other people do. So let's see if we can incorporate that. But please, please, please hit that subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. And you can also leave a comment and like below if you like the videos I do. And also I have a Facebook page, I have a Twitter account and Instagram. Instagram and Twitter I don't use too often, and I do use them more for personal use. But I definitely have a Facebook page that you can keep more up to date with. So you can find that in the links below. So if you'd like to subscribe to me, again, like I say, it really would help. So please, please, please show that support, and more importantly, have a great 2016, and thank you for everybody that is with me at the moment. So enjoy your Christmas and Happy New Year.